Hello, Lisa. How are you?
Hello. Hello, I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's a good morning so far. Hey,
I've literally just got home. Talk about speeding home to get here as quick as I could.
Nice.
NATO Shade has joined
But
the
I've come
space.
home armed with cake. My mother was trying to get rid of her Christmas cake, so I've got a great big
nice.
Just a big lump of cake.
Neco!
Sounds great.
Aê! Você voltou!
Like a big lump of cake.
I could go for
Não tô
some
conseguindo
cake
estar
right
aqui
now.
aí o tempo todo.
That sounds very
Yeah.
nice.
Deixa eu ver agora. É que você parece que você entrou agora.
Shane, have you had a chance to
realmente, eu
see
entrei no Banter
the
agora, mas
video
tô
in here
pensando
called
o tempo
Magic
todo.
Fluids?
Uhum.
It is
Você voltou,
my
cara, você
newest
voltou. Tava
favorite.
muito
It
solitário
just
aqui,
keeps
cara.
doing so many amazing things. It's a really short one if you ever want to see it.
Fazer companhia.
It's in the
Yeah,
list.
go for it. Is it on the list already?
Solitário,
Oh,
tinha
sure.
foto da
Yeah, I
energia
can put it on right
brasileira.
now. You'll have to
Eu vou me
unlock
sentar em
the
algum
video
canto
player
esperar
for me first.
começar, que eu tô trabalhando
Ah, já vai
agora,
começar
beleza?
daqui a pouquinho.
Okay, go ahead.
Estão esperando uns minutinhos aí.
Okay.
Rebel
Jogando
Lunar
Clash Royale,
has
vim
joined
aqui.
the space.
I will take over just to add that one. Oh, nope. You don't have takeover on yet.
Ok.
Go ahead.
Oh, there it is. Takeover. Okay.
I was on linear.
Oh, hello.
Here we
You
go.
were.
This one.
Okay.
I were
I'll
on
go
linear.
put on the two.
But I checked.
Well-
Bakery's still on half price sale for the next few days, so I've just bought bakery. So
Oh,
I'll
good.
start from there
This
tomorrow.
is my favorite.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Bakery's great.
It gets better and
Yeah,
better.
make sure you read the documentation because you need to add scripts to all your lights to make it work properly. But so easy to do.
Okay.
Yeah. If you need any pointers or anything,
boy.
just give
Driver
me a
has joined
shout.
the space.
I'm guaranteed to need pointers. You know what I'm like.
You will be so impressed
Jesus.
'cause it just
You know
speeds
what?
everything
The
up
light
so well.
shows
Your
that you
light
do,
thing
Faye,
will
they
be
should
done in
just be like
seconds
this.
rather than
Just
like
trippy
40
shit
minutes.
like this over and
Yes.
over.
Less than a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
Just the ones,
Yeah,
the ones I did
it's
were just
taking about
trippy
40
shit.
minutes
People
now because I've
were,
got about 40 lights in.
people were loving it.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing last time, yeah.
Ellen has joined the space.
This one is just so cool, and it just keeps... Oh man, I love it.
Yeah, I guess you didn't see me there, but I was here at the the meetup where you announce the giveaway winners, and immediately
awesome.
after that,
Oh, there's the
immediately
meetup
after
on
I was
that.
like, well, I guess I didn't win, and then I went and bought the Quest 3.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's awesome. How are you liking it?
I haven't gotten it yet. It's taken a while to ship, but it's supposed to get here
Aw.
the day after tomorrow.
Well, I'm happy for you. You'll definitely have to come to our dinner party.
Mixed reality.
And,
Yeah.
Aesthetic.
Yeah. We'll have to
Yeah,
try
how's it
that.
going?
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I definitely won't.
What are
have
you
it
doing
for
up here,
more
Elaine?
than 2 hours from now. But the
Looking
next
down
one
on
after
everyone.
that, hopefully
Yeah,
I'll get
yeah,
through
we'll
that.
see you next week.
Hello.
Sounds amazing.
Look at this video.
It's a robot.
This sounds crazy.
Hey, Aline. Hi.
What?
Oh no.
I like the other ones more.
Damn, this space got so trippy.
Standing in the middle of me menu.
The other one's
You
good,
know
but
which
this
one?
one is. This one's amazing too. Yeah, I know the one you mean. The serpent.
You are, yes. Yes.
Well, I guess I might as well do the event, right?
Yeah, we're ready.
Those are my favorite.
Cool.
This one that's on now.
Could not get in with
Lux
my
underscore
vibe.
Not
M1
specifically
has
this
joined
one,
the
but
space.
this
Oh,
kind
okay.
I found
I
a
wonder
YouTube
why.
I don't know.
a YouTube creator that
Nice.
creates those kind of
Stuck in the
videos,
original room.
and they have so many of those.
See
I
the
think it's
portal?
Toss Animations or Toss Visual it's called.
Oh yeah, Toss
Rebel
Visual.
has joined the space.
And I have, I don't know,
Some
I
sort of
think I
platform.
added
Wow.
50 videos to the playlist.
Might be worth
Oh, it's
mentioning
awesome.
to Shane or Faye.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
just I
Willow
did
has
already.
joined the space.
Oh, okay.
I thought it might be some sort of a what do you call it?
Right.
They have some. That's
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I talked to
Yeah.
somebody earlier that
and
said that
party
Trippy.
mode.
1.5 wasn't really
Yeah.
And trippy.
set up for it.
So I'm just gonna hang here on my
Wait, you
on my
should
Spider-Man.
first
Okay.
make a
Yeah, well,
a video that doesn't have loud audio.
For PC VR,
Oh, yeah.
so it's clearly works. Is it? And it's the
Liquid's
Steam
always great.
version, obviously, that you're using. It has to be the Steam.
How's everyone doing? We're gonna have a combined trippy experience in the Banter AMA this week for a laugh. I'm just gonna hang here in the middle of the bay rather than stand and tower over you all. So, yeah. If no one's got questions, then we've always got sort of trippy stuff to keep us distracted in the meantime. So, yeah, this event is an AMA, Ask Us Anything. You know, this is intended for anybody to kind of be able to get a chance to kind of ask
Trippet
anything
has
about
joined the space.
banter, right? Specifically. So, in usual fashion, if you'd like to step down here onto the beach, just in front of me, down on the below area, just in front of the panel, and yeah, we can megaphone
It's
you
a
and you can
trap.
ask a question if you've got a question. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep talking over the awkward silence if nobody does come down. And if anyone has a question, I encourage you to jump in. That usually gets us started. So, oh. Okay, Loose Scarlet. Oh, I fell. Trying to megaphone you. Did somebody get you already? Did Bob get you?
There. They are ready.
Gotcha.
Loose Scarlet, you are on megaphone. Hello there.
Loose Scarlet maybe was just taking a seat. Maybe they weren't actually asking a question.
Am I Loose
That's what I'm
Scarlet?
thinking.
You're
Oh,
Loose
actually,
Scarlet.
you
Hey,
are.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
how are you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm okay. I didn't know. All right, so this is my first time jumping in here. I was trying to get my drip together and like get swagged out. I just kind of jumped in here
Oh.
randomly. But
Okay, well, look,
that's
that's a great example of a question, I guess. Okay, well, if you've just got signed in, if you've just got into the app for the first time, the first thing you'll want to do is sign in. So you press your menu button on your left controller, and in the menu there's a little face icon. Once you go there, you can follow the instructions to link your SideQuest account to Banter. As soon as you do that, you can add all sorts of fancy drip.
Okay.
And yeah, cited.
Okay,
A lot of people are doing crazy things at the minute because over the Christmas period, we've been gifted with the ability to have custom avatars in here, and
Nice.
I'd like to point out Bob here in the middle. Bob usually looks kind of normal, but today his head is overly inflated because he's playing around with all sorts of mad custom avatars, right? So there's a few other
That's awesome.
notable exceptions in the room. We've got Aline, wherever she is. I can't see her.
She's back
She's probably hiding.
here.
Okay, yeah, there's Aline and Faye beside her, both sporting custom avatars, and myself as well, of course, too. So yeah, once you get in there, you should be able to find plenty of options in terms of drip, Loose Scarlet.
Okay.
Any other questions since you've just
Cool,
got in
cool.
here?
No, everything's pretty straightforward. I'm enjoying it. I haven't done too much, but I'm already liking the mechanics and everything right now. So
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, we have a Discord. If you do ever want to chat outside of Banter as well, there's plenty of people in there, and we're all there too. So you can always ask questions there anytime you like.
Cool. Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Cheers.
Yep. Cheers.
Okay, I'm gonna just continue to just hang here aimlessly in the middle and see if I can try and coordinate. You know, we're working on being able to fly in Banter, a native mechanic, and maybe I could do that a bit easier than trying to coordinate this Spider-Man web whilst also looking at you all and talking to you. And God, it's mad. I actually didn't realize how much coordination it takes just to hang. But yeah, I don't know if anybody's interested in that. A native flying mechanic. We're looking at multiple mechanics being implemented in the game in the next couple of months, and they're going to be interesting. They're going to involve using your arms in different ways to engage with the flying. One of them that we like is kind of like Flappy Bird, right? That's kind of how we're describing it, where you'll literally flap your arms to fly. So that's going to be interesting. I'm sure a few people are going to try and repurpose that for a swimming mechanic as well. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how a lot of that combines with other things like Spider-Man at the same time, or low gravity or something like that, right? That's definitely going to be interesting. Snow, I see you're there up front and center. I'm assuming you want to ask a question. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, I know it's on like your roadmap and all, but I was wondering if you had any idea when you might be adding FBT.
FBT, that's a great question. I'm not sure specifically of a date. I don't want to tell you something right now and just pull it out of my ass. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to land on the roadmap, but what I can tell you is that we're in the process of kind of reorganizing everything on our roadmap internally right now, just to be able to give ourselves a lot more visibility. So I'll tell you what, I'll try to be a bit more communicative around the roadmap in general, but specifically on that note, I'll follow up on that as soon as I can. It's something I'm definitely really interested in. You know, I've got a number of full body tracking systems myself. I've got first gen and third gen Vive trackers, and yeah, I mean, what I'm excited about is the OSC protocol that VR Chat has adopted, and being able to use things like Slime trackers and other such affordable trackers, right, that you can use almost directly with your standalone headset without needing a PC. So it's definitely something we're really excited about, interested in, and you know, I look forward to being able to do it. It was a big part of why we have avatars in Banter that have legs, and have had legs from day one, was because we always planned to be you know, implementing body tracking so that people could actually use their legs, right? I think that's a big deal. But yeah, that's a long way to go around answering your question without actually giving you a specific time frame. But you know, ballpark, I would say easily within the next 6 months we will have it implemented. Right now we're hyper focused on trying to polish parts of the game for new users, the lobby, the new user experience, the menu. All of these are areas that are getting a huge amount of focus from us right now. But you know, once we've got those important essentials out of the way, then it's back to the priority of fun stuff, right? And full body tracking is very high on that list.
All right, cool.
Thanks, No. Any other questions while you're there?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Okay, cool beans. Thank you.
Kalima has joined the space.
Okay, so go ahead, anybody else, if you'd like to make your way up to the middle. And if you don't, I'll just continue to waffle on about how cool and trippy this space is. Am I right? Can you believe this? It doesn't get old, really. Just hanging out in here and watching stuff. It's honestly that good. I was worried at one point it might become the space that we use for everything, right? And we've also got a bunch of other cool spaces. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about some stuff if nobody takes front and center. And I'll just remind for any of our late joiners, if you do have a question, just jump up here in the middle, and I'll be happy to megaphone you and answer your question. But it's something that some of you may have seen over the last couple of weeks is that we've been experimenting in different instances with synced objects. Now, some of you might not know what synced objects are or what they mean for the platform, but it's something that we haven't had here for a while, and without them, there was a lot of things that I guess we couldn't really do, like, be able to play with a ball, throw a ball to another player for them to grab it, throw it back, right? It sounds simple, but there's actually some complicated parts involved. Long story short, we've finally been testing with our own synced objects, and whilst there's definitely still some gotchas and we're trying to work out some of the kinks, I've already seen some great examples on the platform. I saw a video the other night, I think it was in Vanquisher's space, possibly, for his birthday celebrations, where there was a Jenga set up there where people were playing with that, right? Very simple, easy example. Sorry, who was that? Sorry?
Sebek.
Sebix? Gotcha.
Right here,
Yeah, and in the Winter Sport Resort, Aline has made some updates to that today, actually, where there's some changes now. When you're going down the slides, you'll notice that your legs don't do the typical walking animation. Your legs stay a bit stiller, so it just adds a little bit more fun when you're going down the slides with a group. But also, the pool table in the Winter Sport Resort, right? That was the first pool table that existed in Banter, and God, it was about a year ago now when Aline was working on the Winter Sport Resort that she added that in, and it hasn't worked until now because of the lack of working synced objects. But yeah, we've been playing around with a prototype pool table that is in the Winter Sport Resort now, so you can play pool, right? That's a fun social activity that you can get involved in if that's the sort of thing that you like to, or not, right? People can just play pool, you can just hang out. It's one of those fun, non-committal, kind of casual sort of things. We still have some tweaking to do around the physics of the pool table, the slipperiness of the surfaces, the mass of the balls, all of those various things we need to work out. But if you want to have a go, it's live right now in the Winter Sport Resort. Feel free to have a play. I will let you know that it is on the honor system. So that means it's basically just some synced balls on a table, and you kind of have to I guess not mess it up, right? But we're obviously just testing, and what we'll likely do is introduce some more controls around it so that it's not it can't be easily as messed up, right? But there's a button there to reset the table and to reset the cue ball if you need to, and I think pretty soon you should be able to pick one of the balls up off the floor if you accidentally do one of those mad trick shots and the ball goes flying. Okay, that's a long time I've been waffling, folks. I'll remind any of our late joiners, maybe Leo in the middle, if you've got a question, this is an AMA. Ask me anything about Banter, anything about space, anything about life, anything about these trippy visuals, anything about physics. I don't know if I'll be able to answer any of these questions, but feel free to come up in the middle and ask them. I'll give it a shot. Max Guyver, I'm gonna assume that you want to ask a question, given that you're there in the middle. I'm gonna try and megaphone you, but it's difficult when I'm moving around like this. There we go. Okay, you're live.
I was just wondering why people look flat and then 3D kind of alternately.
That's a good question. What headset, can I ask, Max, are you on?
Quest 2.
Gotcha. Yeah. So basically, we have dynamic performance optimizations that try to keep your frame rate as high as they possibly can. They're probably a little bit more aggressive than they need to be, but if your frames drop because there's a lot of people in the room or there's lots of things going on, it will try to turn people who are further away from you into a 2D version of themselves. It's particularly noticeable, obviously, on Quest 2 because it's kind of the lowest common denominator device of the devices that we support right now. Although still a great device, and a device that we're committed to making sure that you can still have a good experience on, of course. And yeah, like I say, I think it's a little bit aggressive, that system, and there's a good likelihood we'll be able to tweak that in future to crank a bit more out of it, so that you can see more people at the same time. We were also
I have
thinking, yeah.
I have another question. I tried to get in my with my Vive HTC yesterday, and I wasn't having any luck. I was stuck in the
Gotcha.
original room. I couldn't go anyplace else. I tried to register, but it didn't seem to work.
Gotcha. Yeah, I heard you talking about that earlier, and it sounded like you were indeed having a bunch of trouble. Hearing how you described it, it sounds like there could possibly be a bug or something specific about your setup that we haven't encountered and is clearly causing a problem. Are you on our Discord by any chance, Max?
Not yet.
If you were up for it, I'd love to connect with you after this, see if we could maybe grab the logs of your client and then see exactly what's going on, see if we can get that fixed. That would be awesome.
Okay.
If you want to find the Discord, if you go to bantervr.com, the link is in the top right of that page, and you can click that to join our Discord. And just give me a ping. You'll see me. I'm the CEO of Slim Shady Quest is my name in there, but you'll see me with the crown anyway. Or any of our moderators, just ping them and let them know. And we also have just a support forum section in there that you can dump the details of your setup. But yeah, it'd be great to know, like, what version of Windows you're on. Obviously that it's HTC Vive. And yeah, hopefully we can get that sorted for you quickly.
Okay. Thank you.
Cheers, Max. Awesome. I see Ark making his way down there.
So I had a much more broad question. I had a much more broad question as far as adoption of
physics,
not just X. What's that?
Oh, I thought I was just making a joke. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. As far as adoption of like XR technologies and adjacent technologies, like metaverse platforms. Obviously, all of us here are the converted. We get it. Something that I've said to a lot of on different forums, whether it's on to different VR YouTubers like Thrill Seeker or Fia or Jasmine with VR, whoever, right? Is that one of the things that's greatly lacking as far as making broad adoption of XR technologies and metaverse platforms and stuff is a lack of practical utility that goes beyond things like gaming. Obviously speaks for itself as far as XR adoption, and even enterprise uses. There's obviously cases for that, but in your opinion, what kind of things need to happen to provide practical utility that give people who aren't gamers or wanting to engage in social VR to want to broadly adopt the concept? Because again, obviously all of us, myself included, and you obviously too, believe in this and see its potential, but we're the people who are probably gamers at some level and all these other things that don't necessarily speak to the zeitgeist of Joe Q public. What kind of things need to happen in XR, both from a hardware and software development perspective, to make this relevant for people who aren't gamers? Like, I mean, because we obviously get it, but why does somebody care when they're not, in the same headspace as the rest of us? So to sum that all up, what kind of applications and software development need to be implemented to make things like metaverse platforms much more, provide much better utility for people who aren't, in the same headspace that we are, if I'm making sense with what I'm trying to convey?
Yeah, that's a deep question. Appreciate that one, Ark. Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots that we need to do, right? I mean, I think it's about looking forward, right, to a future where things are a bit more ubiquitous than what we've got in terms of comfort, right? That's probably one of the final tall hurdles for people to really solve when it comes to how can you make it easier for people to spend longer periods of time using this kind of equipment or using it more often. But I also think it's partly about where we've come from, right? We've kind of got this scenario where I think a lot of the mass market kind of thinks of what we've got as a bit more of a gimmick, let's say, than it actually is, right? Because things have evolved so quickly, and what we had sort of, I don't know, 8 years ago, right, when it was like Google Cardboard and a lot of those sort of cheap range of devices that you would use with your smartphone, whilst they were good as a gimmick, they may have left a lot of people with that sort of preconception in their mind. This is what it's like, and I think even today, we're what. We're about that length of time into the mature industry, depending on how you quantify that, right? Do you talk about, is it DK1 started it? Is it CV1 started it? Is it, is mobile a whole new thing? So did Quest 1 reset the clock a little bit in terms of where we are and trying to grow an audience and a market around that? But even today, even now, even people who've been introduced in Banter to virtual reality, coming in from 2D mode and then getting to that stage of making that leap, let's say, there's still those like amazing, oh my God, I can't believe it was like this. I never expected that it was going to be like this. The problem, of course, is that the best way we can kind of represent the technology right now is probably using mixed reality videos, right? But even that in itself isn't a great way to represent it. You can take some video footage of a game and you can overlay, a video of a person on top using tech like Live and other different things. But does that truly capture somebody's imagination when it's trying to convey what it's really like to feel presence in virtual reality, right? Because that's something that you can't see on a video. You really can't interpret that through a video. So, I mean, I think in the future, we're on, we're in that scenario now where we're gathering steam and we're moving quicker and quicker, and every wave of adoption is driving more and more, right? And 2016 was the first, 2019 and 2021, that was the second, and the third is coming, and each one has been bigger than the last. And what's going to happen is that the technology will become cheaper and more comfortable. Those are going to be the short-term things that will really affect the needle. The technology will become more, people will be aware of the fact that it's actually real now and it's not just a gimmick, right? Apple has a device, people are doing crazy things with it. And yeah, the next wave, my prediction anyway, is going to be this year, at the end of this year. That we might see a device from Meta, for instance, that drives that price point down further than it's ever gone before. And that was, in my opinion, one of the biggest things that drove so much adoption of Quest 2 and why we've got 22 million Quest 2s in the wild right now, is because that price point, everybody expected it to be $400 when it launched, and then it came out at $300. The rumor now is that the next headset could be $200. And as an entry point for a fully standalone experience with mixed reality capabilities, that's incredible, right? It's rumored to not include controllers. So that's going to drive, software and content creation to kind of adopt a scenario where hand tracking is kind of the primary input method, which then starts to open up other headset types, right? Like the Lynx R1 and of course the Apple Vision Pro as well. So I think right now we need to just continue to do everything that we've always done, which is evangelize the technology as much as we can, to the point at which we kind of alienate our family members, right? And we become that weird guy who's always talking about VR, right?
We sound like fanatics, pretty much.
Yeah, but that's it. It's we're under the spell of it. We've seen what you can do. I'm sitting here right now, hanging suspended in midair around what I can only describe as something better than the Vegas Dome, with all sorts of trippy visuals, and it feels like I'm here. But I can't explain that to somebody without properly showing it to them. And it's actually such an overwhelming thing, I think, sometimes, that people need space when you show it to them. You need to do it almost on a one-on-one basis where you can be there to help them answer questions. They don't like to feel vulnerable. People don't like to have their vision obscured and feel like they might bump into things and feel dizzy and feel like people could be laughing at them because they can't see. And I think we need to just continue to sort of be there and say, hey, you know, give it a shot. We can try it out. Like, there's a headset, you know, and that's what I love about what we do here at SideQuest and in Banter when we give away headsets, is how often you see people will donate their headset to a good cause after that, and then you'll see a new person comes in. But you know, it's a flywheel which gathers momentum slowly and slowly and slowly, and at a certain point you'll be looking
hit a
back at
logarithmic
this
tipping
time.
point.
Yeah, exactly. At a certain point, it just becomes self-sustaining and continues to grow exponentially at that stage. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts. That's quite a wide topic, right? Let's call this an open discussion. If anybody else wants to come down, I'll be more than happy to megaphone you if I can unmegaphone Ark.
I got something.
Go ahead.
Me. Well, you touched on the main part that I was going to say is the price point. Once we have that price point set at something that is, you know, something more akin to like we used to have with when you got a new cell phone, you could get a Gear VR or an Oculus Go or something like that. Once it becomes that kind of capability for everybody to be able to get a headset in a price point of like $100, $200, that's when we're going to see so much more of a mass adoption. But to keep them in that headset, they have to find uses in their everyday life for those headsets, because, you know, we get it, we're the gamers and things like that, but once it becomes more of something that you would integrate in your everyday life, like a cell phone, where you would be, you know, using it for your browsing method, you'd be using it for all of your contacts, your messaging. Once everything gets completely in an ecosystem where everything is being used all the time, that's when we're really going to win. I see that as becoming capable more and more as the abilities keep changing and things like that. But people will have to have a use for the headset that will keep them in it. That's important.
Well said. Oh, we've got Snow. Snow wanting to ask another question?
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, a big thing that people have been talking about recent. Hello? You can hear me?
Go ahead. Sorry,
muted,
I megaphoned you. Can you not
Oh,
hear him,
He's
Mark?
muted. No, he's muted for me at least.
Oh, well, that's weird. They can hear me.
I can hear him fine. Yeah, I don't know if you want to try re-entering.
I do hear him. Yep, just re-enter.
Anyway, I was gonna ask you what your thoughts are on the big mod that people have been talking about recently, the Unreal Engine VR mod, and just, you know, in general, the idea of being able to turn any flat screen game into a VR game.
I think the mod's great. I think anything that brings more content into VR is fantastic. I know personally that, you know, our mission to enable more content in VR is a very important one, because it is, in my belief anyway, the number one barrier to people entering into VR is the lack of content. On SideQuest, we've got a couple of thousand titles, and we are the largest standalone content library. We should have 10,000. We should have 40,000. You know, maybe even hundreds of thousands. It should be more than that. It should be the numbers of games and apps that you see on the app stores. Your original question, sorry. The Unreal Engine injector looks amazing. I think it could provide so much in terms of hours and hours of playtime on original titles. Stuff that's been produced with AAA budgets, you know, way beyond a lot of the stuff that you've got in VR right now. I do think that expectations should be tempered a little bit, right? Because these titles weren't built for this. These aren't dedicated ports. So there's, as is always the case with things like this, there's tinkering required. Your mileage may vary. There's lists, spreadsheets, Discord forums with numbers and loads of titles that have been tested, and included with them is details about how well they work, any gotchas that are involved. And my advice to anybody who's wanting to consume that is to definitely check that side of it out, right? Because you just want to make sure that you're going to have a good experience, and that your expectations are going to be tempered, and you're not expecting these games to work perfectly out of the box. But I think it's amazing. I definitely think it's a really good thing, and I know those guys have been working on it for quite a long time.
I had something to throw in. So as cool as the universal Unreal Injector is, you always have to keep in mind that absolutely most games use 2D specific functions, especially on the shader side. So almost every reflection in the games you play with the Unreal Injector won't work. And you just have to keep that in mind, and not just thinking all the time, oof, something is weird in my right eye. Why is there some ghosting stuff? That's just something you probably will never get rid of, because that's just how the games are made, and those kind of things you have to make specific when you're creating a VR game. So yeah, just don't expect too much from it, and then everything's fine. You will have a lot of fun. At least I had already.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of fun to be had if you can have it. But yeah, you have to temper your expectations there a little bit. I find it similar to things like Minecraft, right? Which has been modded into VR now in several different ways. The Minecraft mod that's on SideQuest called QuestCraft is actually the most popular app on the platform by far, and it was the first one to reach 2 million downloads. But Vivecraft, that's something that I used a lot in the past, and the custom shaders that it would have would do all sorts of weird things when you looked at them in strange ways. It's a lot of things in game development involve kind of smoke and mirrors, and you have to make trade-offs, and things look okay on a 2D screen, but VR becomes a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that there's also an official version of Minecraft in VR that's like Minecraft Bedrock Edition. If you play that on PC, you could play in VR. Although I think Vivecraft is probably better made.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I've played the Bedrock Edition recently. Last I remember there was some problems with that, so maybe just check the reviews there to be sure, because I'm not sure if that still works. I know PC has basically become, the afterthought, let's say, when it comes to Oculus. They recently renamed Oculus to Link in terms of PC VR titles, and the Link store is what it's known as now. So, yeah, just make sure that works. But yeah, there is on the Oculus store on PC. There's Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Odd that it never ended up on Quest specifically, despite I heard John Carmack's best efforts to get it there. But yeah, we're kind of way off topic, but that's cool. I don't mind. Yeah, any other questions? We'll open it up to any topic, pretty much. Mark, you got your hand up? Yeah, go ahead.
So this is actually kind of circle back and play on what you said about mixed reality, and also what Faye was saying about having utility. Something I've suggested as something that to go back to the idea of broad adoption and helping XR and just all the different adjacent technologies evolve and get JoeQ public on board earlier. Something I've suggested before would be kind of interesting. the mixed reality pass through with the Quest 3 it's really good. I mean, it's come quite a bit from the Quest 2. Obviously, we all recognize that. It's not to the point though you could do something safely like cooking. I mean, we all understand you'd probably chop off your fingers if you did it too long. But with the next generation Quest, or maybe even the second generation past that, when there's no longer a warping and there's much better throughput, it would be kind of interesting if there was the capacity. And I mentioned this to you because you're, the CEO of, SideQuest. So I mean, hopefully you obviously have way more connections than I do. Is that, let's say I wanted to make a meal. So I, put on my much lighter XR headset that has much better pass through, and I look at my pantry and I can scan the contents of it. And then I go into my refrigerator and I can scan the contents of that and also my freezer. And then with an AI cooking app, kind of the AI version of Blue Apron or HelloFresh, it can then aggregate all that information and figure out, okay, here's a recipe for, Arlen to work on, that doesn't take a lot of time, and, it takes advantage of all the things available, and then it can, in real time, walk you through with mixed reality on how to make a really easy, quick, good meal. That's something that would provide practical utility in a way that just is not available under any other platform for, Joe Q public. Or another example that I've suggested is that I suck at automotive. Anything like if my car needs to be worked on, I have to go to a mechanic. Most people do. But let's say there's a much, an evolved version of the Quest, and it's, lighter, better pass through, and I call my brother in Minnesota and he puts on his, evolved version of this, and he can in real time with his eyes walk me through how to work on my car. Those kind of things provide, practical utility that would provide, much, broader adoption. So I don't so much have a question. I guess it's more just an idea that I'm trying to throw out to people that actually have the ability to, evolve the industry along a practical utility, line, you, for example. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there and just get your thoughts about that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting line of thinking. I think one of the tricky things about XR right now, especially for, let's say, a company of the scale of Meta, is the scrutiny and the risk that they kind of take when it comes to privacy and stuff like that. It probably means that, I would say, for the entirety of the line of devices we get from Meta, it's going to be unlikely that they would open up the pass-through feed to third-party developers in a way that would let them build those kinds of things in a democratized fashion, right? Rather than having to rely on Meta to have to build all of that. I mean, Meta's doing some cool stuff with AI, right? I was at Meta Connect a couple months ago, and it was a big portion of the conference was about AI as much as it was about VR, if not more, if I'm honest. But the melding of those two technologies, I definitely think is really interesting. And if you had something where AI could take input from your mixed reality view and tell you what's in your fridge and tell you what you need to do and scan your environment, be able to identify on the fly from cold, to be able to sort of offer you that kind of assistance in line with kind of what you're doing, I think it needs a collaboration from a number of different entities to be able to pull something like that together. And I'd hope that Meta could do something like that. I think when you see what they're doing with their Ray-Ban sunglasses line and how much they're integrating AI into that, like there was an example recently, in fact, Marcus Brownlee, if you're familiar with him, on YouTube, a very popular influencer. There's now in beta probably, right? But a Ray-Ban feature where it's like you say, "Hello Meta, describe what you're seeing," and it just tells you what it can see. And that's kind of crazy if you think about it. But it's a stepping stone towards what you're talking about, which is where we combine these head-worn devices that have visual capabilities with AI that can actually understand what it's seeing. And that's really starting to kind of that multimodal approach that we're seeing now is really starting to open things up to a point where AGI is probably not going to be very much further down around the corner. Do you know what I mean? So I think, the biggest barrier in the short term is probably going to be politics and corporates who want to maintain control of what they're doing, right, for the world that you're describing. But that maybe the next generation of what we've got right now might involve more academic involvement, I think this kind of stuff can often come from universities. Universities
Daniel has
will
joined the space.
produce, a lot in terms of research around certain topics and can literally produce viable commercial products off the back of that. But more often than not, they're more interested in working with organizations to, commoditize those things rather than do it themselves, right? Universities are more often than not, I think, interested in having the reputation of having created and prototyped and engineered these kinds of technologies without necessarily looking to commercialize them all the time. So that's probably what we're looking for here is a new generation of devices that can be more open, right? Being more open is essential because we need a community effort. We need, we need a bunch of really smart people who are really interested in this to sort of take the bull by the horns and start to do mad stuff with it. And that's where I guess we end up with the quality of life improvements that I think you're talking about, the sort of ubiquity. One thing I think is kind of interesting and also an interesting take on this, if you want to check it out, it's a video on YouTube called Hyper Reality, which I think is it's a bit dark and dystopian. I'll give you a heads up, but it kind of imagines a future where most surfaces in the real world are just bland, blank. Everything is overlaid on top using augmented reality, right? And like I say, take it with a pinch of salt because it's definitely closer to Black Mirror than anything else. But it shows some ideas, gives you some ideas of ways that this kind of ubiquity will work its way into our lives. And I think it's all those moments we spend bored right now in life that will just disappear. Those 10 minutes you're on the bus, you're not doing something, that will all of a sudden turn into an interactive experience that's hardly anything like the real McCoy. But anyway, I'm waffling on. Yeah, definitely an interesting topic. Thanks for the question or for the comment. Yeah, I mean, I'll put it out to anybody else. Like I say, we just have an open discussion. Ark, if you've any follow-up thoughts or anybody else wants to talk about it, I'll try my best to megaphone you while I hover around here.
I had a hardware question.
Go for it.
No one else does. Subjectively, there's 3 best headsets. I mean, but they're in completely different categories. Like the big screen Beyond, I don't think anyone's going to argue that it's the smallest, lightest, and most comfortable, VR headset out there, right? But it's tethered to a computer, so you lose freedom of movement. The Vario XR4 is this massively powerful, like, Super Saiyan level, clarity and all that stuff. I mean, we've all seen the videos. I don't have one, obviously, but, again, in its category, that's subjectively the best. And the Quest, for example, the Quest 3, is a standalone, headset that subjectively you could argue in that category is the best. And I get that this is a hardware question, but is it possible still, or are we reaching a finite limit in physics as far as engineering is concerned, where we can hypothetically aggregate all those capacities and drop a lot of the restrictions that all 3 of those categories have with them, where you have a headset that's as light, comfortable, and small as the big screen Beyond, as, close to, if not as powerful as the Vario XR4, but as standalone functional as the Quest and Pico lines. Because to get to what you were saying earlier, I mean, that's something that is holding back, the industry, is that, I mean, the Quest is a marvel of engineering. I'm not dogging on it at all, but there's no getting around. You're also wearing a brick on your face. I mean, I've got the Bobo Elite strap, but still, this is still a relatively heavy, for the average person. So is there still enough space in physics as far as, what's physically possible from engineering to aggregate all those and drop all the weaknesses of all of them as well?
That's an interesting question. I mean, there's always space for innovation. That's definitely the case. Things can always be improved. The next generation of things are only around the corner. The previous gen gets a lot cheaper and becomes a lot more accessible. That's kind of the cycle that, Moore's Law has been driving us through over and over for years and continues, right? Even if it has slowed, it's definitely slowed, that's for sure. But I think if you open your mind and start to sort of think about how the infrastructure of this could come together, then you realize, okay, if we're going to have 16K per eye, how is standalone hardware ever going to be able to run that? The truth is, it's probably not. So maybe cloud-based is the way to go. That gets rid of a lot of the requirement on the local device. It means we can have much lighter weight, lower capacity batteries, effectively null terminals, right? You're just operating a screen and everything is kind of streaming in from the cloud. At least that's how I imagine it's going to go. Some of the biggest players are really looking to kind of maximize on bridging that gap, I think, between the mass market appeal of a standalone device and the ability to ship 22 million units, and then the high fidelity of a PCVR high-end experience, lots of money, thousands. The problem, I think, is that right now, at least anyway, with PCVR, it's always going to be more niche. It's always been the case when it comes to console gaming, although arguably it has got less and less niche over years, and a lot more people are have their own home computers, high-end gaming computers these days than did in the past. But those aren't they're not as ubiquitous and as accessible as smartphones, right? And that's kind of what you need people to be able to have. Something they can just flip out of their pocket, throw it on their face, it connects to the cloud, high fidelity, everybody's connected to each other. That's probably how we solve this problem of capacity and size and scale and performance and comfort, which I think is right up there with the rest of them in terms of importance. Hey, Snowstorm.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Cheers,
I was
Ark.
just gonna say about like cloud streaming. I just don't think people have the connection required for like low enough latency for, because you need, like, even streaming over your local network, it's hard to get low enough latency for like virtual desktop or whatever. So
Yes.
it's like, I feel like you're more likely to have a high-end gaming computer than you are to have a crazy good internet connection to do cloud streaming VR.
Ooh, I don't know. I think I would say most people who are serious about gaming are also pretty serious about having a decent internet connection to be able to do said gaming. I don't know. I guess it depends, right? There's probably always going to be a scaled experience and stuff that might allow you to use certain content offline, right? I imagine maybe a pair of glasses sort of form factor device could potentially also connect to your smartphone to be able to access content from there, so it's not necessarily from the cloud. Could be a closed local loop between you and the device, but that's equally another way to kind of offset some of the cost and weight and processing of what's going on, right? Is to have a local connection wirelessly, ideally between, let's say, a more powerful smartphone of the future that connects to some head-worn screens, in effect, right? That's all it would be. Did we lose Snow there? Did he jump into? Oh, he's gone to bed. Good night, Snow. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we've got a couple minutes left in this event, so yeah, if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to jump up, and then we can wrap up and jump into Space Makers, where we can continue to have such existential conversations. I'll also just take the opportunity, like we usually like to do, to point out Shoseki, who I believe is live streaming this event. So he should be flying around, capturing all the magic of what's going on. Feel free to turn around and give him a wave in whatever random direction you want. I'm sure he'll realize you're doing it, and he'll line the camera up to match. Yeah, all of you are live to the entire information superhighway right now through YouTube, so that's exciting. Yeah, so anybody else? Bob, I see you're getting closer and closer to the podium there, or at least this version of you is. Are you?
Don't
you got
touch
a
yourself to
question?
break the space-time continuum.
I was just I was just gonna do like a hi Shizeki flyby. Hi Shizeki.
Oh. Nice. Yeah. Okay, well then, yeah. Daniel, you're looking pretty close to the panel area. Have you got a question? I can't hear you, Daniel, if you're talking. You may need to select your audio device in the settings screen. There, I'll just preemptively answer your question. Yeah, so in the menu, if you hit escape, look at the cogwheel icon, and in there you can...
Yeah, I've figured it out now.
Oh, nice.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So, about this banter thing here, is it going to be better than the game VR chat?
Yes. Next question.
Yeah. No bias. No bias.
Great question. It's an easy one. Keep them coming. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you'd like, Daniel, is this your first time in Banter?
Yeah. I've been here for 2 hours ago with this guy here.
Bob, gotcha. Nice.
Bob works, and also Foot, and Helen.
Gotcha.
That's the only 3 fans I have right now.
Oh, make me your 4th if I can click the
And
add
5th.
button. There you
I
go.
sent you in as well.
Damn.
Friend.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'll add you again. There you go.
maybe I could expand on your
Damn.
question a little bit more, Daniel. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, will be very similar to VR chat, but a few notable differences. We've tried to focus and put an emphasis and tried to preach, let's say, to our community about performance. So that's an important thing for us. We want to launch on mobile pretty soon, and we're also available on Quest standalone, which is an Android-based headset. So we try to squeeze every last little bit out of performance as we can, so people have a good experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we've become known for. I think, at least.
Yeah, I have also seen that because I also have a Quest 2 and a Quest 1, but I don't use anymore. But I have Quest 2.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I
think
guess
that would
one
be
other
for me.
difference that's maybe worth noting is the physics-based interactions that you can do in here. That's notably different than what is available in the likes of VR chat or any other platform for that matter. I don't think there are any other social VR platforms that have the kind of crazy, zany, derpy, off-the-wall, blow you out of the skybox sort of physics that we have. And if they do, it's usually based on a mod, because the physics is usually taken so seriously that they can't take the risk of implementing multiplayer because of all the derp and the mad stuff that we see and the fact that it blows you out of the skybox from time to time. But yeah, we have, I like to think anyway, we have a fun approach to the physics. Hey, Snow, you've you got up.
Yeah,
you
I
got
was
up out of bed.
actually, I left my PC, but I was still listening to the YouTube live stream.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
I was gonna say about you said you were gonna watch Banter on phone soon.
Yes.
And I kind of remember hearing about that, but I was gonna ask if you tested that on the Google Pixel phones, because I know with them having a different processor, sometimes games don't work as well on the Pixel because they're only optimized for Snapdragon.
Gotcha. I haven't tested it specifically on a Pixel, but I suspect that the Quest headset is the Quest 2 is Snapdragon XR2 Gen 1, Quest 3 is Gen 2. Sorry, actually, I think maybe it's just XR2 for the Quest 2, not Gen 1. I'm not 100%
Yeah, the
sure.
Quest 2. The Quest 2 is XR2, and then the Quest 3 is like XR2 Gen 2 or something.
Yeah. Then there's the Pico that seems to sit in the middle. I'm not sure if it actually has some higher, slightly
yeah,
higher
what I'm saying
spec
is that the
chip
Pixel is
than the
unusual
Pe-
because they aren't using Snapdragon.
Gotcha,
So,
because they aren't. Right, I'm with you. I thought you said because they are. I'm with you. Yeah, I mean it's something that we need to embrace in terms of being able to test out as many variations of Android hardware as we can. There's a lot of them out there, and obviously we won't be able to support them all, but we'll hopefully be able to try and support as many of the whatever 8,000 different types there are.
If you need any beta testers, I got a Pixel
Appreciate
6.
it. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely will be needing that. We've done some testing already with Android. At one point there was a build out in the wild, but the input controls is the biggest sort of area that's lacking right now. You could only use the previous build if you plugged in a keyboard and mouse into your phone, which is obviously not ideal. So yeah, we want to build in some better on-screen controls so that you can actually use that a little bit better. But yeah, thank you for that one, Snow. I'll tell you what, I'll do Shoseki a solid and just do a quick wrap up there for the stream. So yeah, this is pretty much the end of the event. I appreciate all you guys showing up. Right now we're about to jump into Space Makers, so I'm sure you'll probably see some portals dropping for that in just a moment. And yeah, I'll just wrap up there. Thanks very much, everybody, for coming.
Thank you,
And
Shane.
we're good. Yeah, thank you.